Cuba, it's me. Welcome to episode 205 of the W.I.L.L.I.W show, which stands for Wrestling is Life. Life is Wrestling. Now today, I got another birthday, so it's a special tribute episode to one of my greatest opponents ever, Super Kamikaze. It's his birthday, and I hope he has a good day, so I'm going to tell a little bit what I know about him. Basically, what happened was he grew up in Dresden, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Ontario, a little small town, and he was friends with like Eric Young and TJ Harley, and his brother was Romeo Adams. And before wrestling, he was a standout soccer star, like an exceptional soccer star. He's still really good at soccer, by the way. And his kids are following in his footsteps as they're all stars in soccer as well. And but then they got to start wrestling around, and it turns out he could do absolutely anything. So eventually, some of the boys left to go to the wrestling school, and he went along with them a little bit after, and he started wrestling as Suicide Carlos Ortega, I believe it is. And him and Eric Young, like their first matches were like the first like 15 to 20 matches were just against each other, and they were blowing the roof off the place. They were doing things that other people hadn't seen in Ontario a lot of before, that you could only see like in Mexico and a little bit in Japan. And they were doing some amazing things. They were even getting a dark match from British Bulldog, was getting him a dark match in WCW. I actually did an interview on this show with Super Kamikaze. Check it out. It's episode 76, and you can hear a lot about those stories there. And he was also in the Jesse Ventura movie. Eventually, he changed his name to Suicide Sean Ball, and he was an amazing tag team in Neo Wrestling with W.I.L.L.I.W. And man, those two had some unbelievable matches against some really great opponents. He could do anything, Daredevil. He's very smooth in the ring. Anything he does, he makes it look so easy, so much grace, so much athleticism. I've never been in the ring with someone that is so gifted of an athlete as he is, as far as can do the acrobatics and the gymnastics stuff. Wow, he's blown me away on several occasions. And so yeah, he became Suicide Chambal, and he broke his ankle in a tag team ladder match, I believe in Niagara Falls. I could be getting some of these things wrong, but I know for the most part, they're right. And see, I never had met him until about 2006, but I knew quite a bit about him because I worked with his brother Romeo Adams at like this rubber factory, and he would tell me all about the boys and stuff like that. And I know a lot of the students that got trained at Eric Young's wrestling school, WrestlePlex, were treated to a taste of Super Kamikaze, because anytime Eric Young needed someone to demonstrate how to do a move, he would get him to do it because he's so flawless at everything he does. So the first time I ran into him was a PWA show in Cambridge around 2006. And it was like one of the only times we had a monitor in the back so we could watch the matches. And he wrestled Coney Diener, and that was the first time I ever saw him in action. And I was blown away. I was like, wow, this guy is so good. And then I was also intimidated, like, man, what am I going to do if I have to wrestle this guy? Well, sure enough, the time came. And the first time we ever wrestled was in Elements nightclub in Kitchener. And man, to that day, that is quite possibly my favorite match. It's definitely in the top three. He really brought the best out of me. He forced me to do things that I didn't know I was capable of doing, and after that match, I felt on top of the world. I felt like I could accomplish anything. So I'll always have to give him credit for that, just for giving me the confidence to show and keep up, because I was never like I couldn't do a lot of flips and stuff like that, but wrestling a fast-paced match like that, to me, it was just an unbelievable feeling, and he gave me that confidence, and I kept up. It was hard, but I kept up with him, and man, that was a good match. And then we went on to have what I thought was a pretty epic feud. We did a couple ladder matches, just insane matches out there, like we did a triple threat ladder match with Eddie Osborne. Then he put his career on the line, and well, actually before that, we did a four-way with Rip Impact and Don Pizon somewhere at some Dragon Boat Festival somewhere in Ontario. I can't remember which town it was, and that was an incredible match as well. And then we had this match, and man, this match was unbelievable too, and it was his career-ending match if he lost. And unfortunately, due to some interference with Eddie Osborne, he did lose. And then he came back as Super Kamikaze, and I remember wrestling him in a parking lot in Cambridge, and he gave me a moonsault off the roof of the outside of the bar onto the parking lot, like cement. And it was crazy, and I loved that match too. And a bunch of people from his work came and watched it, and everyone really liked that match. So yeah, he came back as Super Kamikaze, and then he had some serious neck issues that I, for one, never thought he'd be able to recover from and come back. But sure enough, in the last 6 months to a year here, he made a huge return and has been doing some more stellar matches, and it's just great to see him back. He's one of my best friends in the business. I don't have a lot of friends, and he's kind of like me. We're both kind of quiet and shy and keep to ourselves, and I feel happy knowing that our kids have spent a lot of time together. We used to live in the same building, actually, and we go swimming with the kids all the time, go to the YMCA, go and play soccer and whatnot, and he's just a really good person, an excellent father, and my cameraman really loves him too, and everyone gets along great, and I love his family and whatnot, and man, I really hope he has the best birthday. The thing I'm happy about, most happy about, is I know how much he loves wrestling. Like, whenever we would spend time together, it would be talking wrestling or watching wrestling pretty much, unless we were doing something for the kids. And to see him come back, man, that just warms my heart up. I know he loves it, and especially with that neck injury, and now he's had some phenomenal matches with Josh Alexander and Eddie Osborne since he's came back, and it's good to see him doing good things again, and he really has been around for a long time. I think he's going on 21 years now wrestling in the Ontario, and he did some shows in the States and whatnot, and man, he's gonna just keep going from here, and he's had a great birthday. But to make his birthday special, why don't you tell me what's your favorite match Super Kamikaze or Suicide Sean Ball or Suicide Carlos Ortega has ever been in? What did you enjoy seeing him do? He's had a lot, so there's a lot to choose from, because as always on the Willow Show, like or you get a leg drop, comment or you get a clothesline, subscribe or you get a suplex. And I'm your host, Elian Habanero. I love wrestling, I love Super K, Cuba!